I will try and attempt to talk about how Telangana was formed and then talk about what were the issues that were the most important challenges and how we went on to address it. Well, Telangana is a long fought journey. Although the state was formed in 2014 in June 2nd, it was a 5-decade long fight. We were a separate state called Hyderabad state. We existed as a separate state even after Indian independence until 1956. And we were a prosperous state, we were doing good. But then in 1956, a conditional and a forcible merger happened with our neighboring Andhra Pradesh. Then, of course, since then, somehow the merger was never happy, made anybody happy. We were constantly struggling, we were constantly raking up the demand of a separate statehood. That kind of led to a very inequitable development. We've always had this grouse that we did not get our share, and we constantly started raising the issue. But then, of course, in 2001, Honorable KCR had given a proposal to the people of Telangana that why don't we fight in a very peaceful but a political battle to make sure the statehood is achieved. People have blessed him, people have stood with him, and we fought under his leadership from 2001. And of course, the central government at that point of time, or the party was aspiring to be coming back to power at that point of time, they promised to support this demand for the first time. So in 2004, it was for the first time ever that central government acknowledged that the demand for Telangana state exists, and they agreed and they put it in the common minimum program. But then, of course, after the elections, they chose to disregard the demand. They reneged back on their word, and they shattered the hopes of people of Telangana. So KCR had to come out, then go on to the fast until death in 2009. Then the announcement of Telangana had happened. Well, the separate statehood movement was full of flip-flops. From 2009 until 14 also, we were constantly seeing this turmoil happening. But finally, in 2014, June 2nd, the state was formed. So this is exactly 9.5 years back. And when we look back in 9.5 years, how was Telangana? Because I was just interacting with people here, and she was very happy. Sorry, I don't know your name. Sahishnavi was very happy that she visited Hyderabad and she's seen unprecedented growth. But in 2014, that was not the story. In 2014, the story was out of 10 districts of the state, 9 were declared backward by the central government. 2 districts, Khammam and Mehboob Nagar, were categorized as the most hungry in the country. And the agriculture and allied sector, which supported around 46% of the population of the state, it was under severe distress, and the farmer suicides were number 2 in the country. It was very unfortunate, but that was the state of affairs. And we were a severely power distressed state. The shortage of power was around 2,700 megawatts, which ultimately led to a power cut of about 4 to 8 hours across the state. And that resulted in industries being shut at least for 2 days in a week, so they could operate in shifts. And neither we had adequate surface water for irrigation, nor did we have enough water for the drinking water. Also, of course, when your whole 9 districts are backward, revenue of the state was in shambles. So that was the situation in 2014, and that was the situation in which we inherited the state. But then what did we do? How did we change that situation from being a power deficit state, from being a state which had no drinking water, from being a state which had no irrigation water, now to a power surplus state, now to a state where we are number 2 in paddy production? How did that transformation happen? And that is the story I am here to share with all of you. And the leader, KCR, he was an agitator. He was constantly agitating for the state. He has a very sharp wit and a sharp tongue. So he never spared anybody during the agitation. So people did have this fear that what will happen once the Telangana state is formed? How will the rest of the Hyderabad, rest of the people will be taken care of? But what I have seen for any society to transform, the prerequisite is that the leader of that state should understand how to convert his negativities into positivities. And I've seen that change happening in my own leader. Overnight, from an agitator, he became an administrator. He made a statement saying everybody is equal to me. He stopped using sharp words. He worked in silence, he worked with strategy, which he was always known for, and he worked with commitment and dedication. I think that is a prerequisite that, undertook this paradigm shift. And of course, I am very well aware that I am standing in the Department of Economics, so I can't be giving flowery speeches. I should throw in some hard numbers at you. So I will do that too. But I'll have to tell you that from 2014, the careful balance of government spending, both in investing in infrastructure and also welfare, I think that took the state to the next level. So when we talk about the growth of Telangana in the last 9.5 years, the average of Indian GDP, when you look at all the 9 years, is 118.2% in the last 10 years, from 2014-15 to 2022-23. Whereas the Telangana's average is 155.7%. That's the increase of GSDP. So we always grew over the national average in the last 10%. So our contribution of Telangana state to the central's GDP grew from 4.1% in 2014 to 4.9% now in 22-23. But then the population was constant. It's 2.9 since 2014 till date. So that being constant, this contribution to GDP is the actual wealth or the contribution of my state to the country. Well, other than that, of course, economists take seriously the per capita income of any nation or state. So in 2014-15, we were at 1,12,162. Now, this year, we are at 3,17,115. So we have literally doubled the per capita income of our people. And this is in less than 10 years. But then see, per capita income also at times can be deceiving, because growth could be stagnated in few people's hands and not everybody probably gets a benefit of the growth. So there is a concept called as Gini coefficient. The lower it is, the better it is for the people. The lower it is, that means everybody gets enough share of the income. I'm very proud to tell you that my state, Telangana, ranks number 1 amongst all states in terms of equitable income distribution. And our Gini coefficient is 0.10, which is literally on par with the Nordic nations, or even better than most of them. So this is the thing that makes us all happy. The poorest of the poor is getting the benefit. Everybody is getting the benefit. And how did we achieve this? My personal love, and India is an agrarian nation. We have to understand the fact. Any investment that we make has to be in agriculture. It cannot be ignored. That factor is taken very seriously in Telangana. 46% of our population is into agriculture. So we've made very, very serious investments in agriculture. In 2014, when we started, our agriculture growth was minus. It was minus 0.7%. And now, when you look at 2023, it is 37% in positive. So we have grown leaps and bounds in agriculture. And agriculture allied sectors, it could be dairy, fisheries, meat, poultry, etc. That we have grown by 13.3%. That was also negative, but we've grown now. And the best part is, even during COVID, we've kept on growing at 15.7%. And this is primarily because government intervened and procured every last grain of the crop or the yield that the farmers got. So they didn't have to go around trying to sell it, but the government purchased it, and that is how the farmers got the money.